Good day, viewers around the world. My name is Mark Godwin, and you are welcome to SSM News Echoes. And today is the day we talk on world affairs, global world affairs, politics, geopolitics, and all that matters as it concerns us, Africans also around the world. As usual, I have my colleagues, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, from different corners of the world. BD Nana, good morning. You are welcome to.
Good morning. Good morning, Massive Mark. Thanks for having me once again. Our viewers all around the world, thanks for joining us again. Let's do it like always.
Let's do it like always, but we can't do it without Sir George Chukwu in Canada. Sir George, how are you this beautiful morning with that nice background you have there?
Thank you so much, Mark Godwin and good morning from Toronto, Canada, and viewers from around the world. We want to welcome you to our show today. It's going to be an awesome one.
Yes, thank you, guys. It's a beautiful day, but it's not too beautiful in some part of the world. Before we go into the discussion, there are some news headlines just coming in right about time we were about to come into the program. One of the news is that Beijing, in China capital city, is overwhelmed with post-COVID surge, mainly among children. Hospitals in Beijing, northern China, are grappling with surge of children with respiratory illness as the country enters its first winter since the COVID surge. So Beijing is seeing a huge number of children recovering, going through this respiratory illness, and hundreds of patients are queuing up at most children's hospitals in the major cities across China also. So this is coming from CNN this morning. Also coming from CNN this morning is, I don't know if some of you here had that problem. There's a banking app on phones, on mobile phones, and it's called HSBC. HSBC app on people's phone has gone down right about now. According to what we call the down detector, the problem started early this morning, 8 o'clock GMT, and they say it's affecting millions of people across Europe, UK, London, UK, Italy, France, and the rest part of Europe. So HSBC app for money transfer, banking, and all that is down. Also coming in the news this morning is something that is not too bad. Kim Jong-un, the young North Korean dictator, is celebrating an era of space power, sorry. This morning, they launched a powerful space program, and he went around celebrating with his family, his daughter, and they are saying they've been able to put a military spy satellite out to the orbit. So this is coming this morning, some of the newspapers. I think we have a picture of Kim Jong-un and the daughter in that space program, space celebration. Gentlemen, you have anything? But before you say something, we also have from Russia, Moscow, Russia, our colleague and brother, Dr. Godwin Ibe. Dr. Godwin Ibe, you're welcome. Welcome to SSM News Echoes World Affairs this Friday, 24th of November, 2023.
Thank you so much, Legends, for having me. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. I'm excited to be among you once again.
I know you like the world affairs takes. Dr. Ibe, Kim Jong-un is celebrating, he called it an era of space power. They've been able to launch a military spy satellite into orbit, and it's a big thing. Big celebration is going on there in North Korea, and people are watching. What is it doing with a space satellite in orbit? But we're in an era of a fight against machine, and everybody's trying to pull up whatever they can to to outsmart each other in technology and all of these things. Okay, gentlemen, is there any views? Anybody taking any take on the?
Sure, obviously. But I would like others to speak first, as I, came last. Let's everyone have a chance to speak. I will speak last. Thank you.
Sir George, what do you have on any of the headlines? These are brief headline coming in. Beijing overwhelmed with post-COVID surge, mostly among children. Hundreds of children are being brought to the children's hospital, experiencing the COVID surge. And also, this one is happening right about as we're talking. HSBC, a banking app, has gone down. All of Europe, a lot of people are experiencing that problem. Is there anything on this, Sir George, from your corner?
Well, the only thing is, in regards to HSBC, it will be fixed, that people will suffer. The only problem is that a lot of people that might need money while they are celebrating Thanksgiving in the US might be suffering tremendously in trying to access their money, maybe for tickets or whatever the case might be. So it could cause a whole lot of families intense pain in trying to navigate through life until the app is fixed. But I know it's going to be fixed very soon with Kim Jong-un. I don't know what to say about Kim Jong-un. Well, I mean, he's doing the bit he's doing. He's on I think I would call him a contrarian. So anyone that is on the right will be on the left. So well, we hope that it's not going to be something that will be harmful to mankind in the future. So that's all I can say.
The era of phone apps on phone is where we are. A lot of utilities, a lot of services are now on your gadget. That's a big step by mankind. Humanity has been able to make life very simple with smartphone. But we might be heading also to a time when you have these glitches and it affects things. When you have all these problems like what is happening now, HSBC, it will probably affect more people, cause more damage at a given point in time. Didi, what do you think about that? And what is Nigeria doing? What is Africa doing about some of these apps, utility apps on phone?
Of course, you just said it. It's going to affect a lot. It's going to affect businesses. It's going to affect transfers. It's going to affect life generally. Now, what is African doing about it? It's very, very unfortunate that if not few, majority of us, most of this app we use, we don't even know how to get it sorted out. But that's just by the way. I'm not surprised that in order to celebrate some certain things, you will allow some certain things to suffer. It's just like what we spoke in our event last time, that the CBN decided not to hold a meeting just because they're about celebrating a 60th anniversary. So the world is becoming, people are becoming more self-centered these days than, being impactful to humanity. Well, having said that, now this Beijing thing, I think, I don't know if this is after COVID problem or is it a winter thing, because because the problem of this is more of respiratory and is more on children, and you know that they are about entering into winter and this thing is becoming too much now, considering a few months ago or 2 weeks ago, the kind of wave that the Europe suffered. So I think it's a weather thing. That's what I think. It has nothing to do with the COVID, as they are even afraid that there might going to be another lockdown. So that's my take on that.
Oh, thank you very much. Good one.
There's going to be another lockdown. They're going to lock China down and leave us alone. Wuhan has done us harm for 2 solid years. We're still suffering the pain. So we don't want another international worldwide lockdown. Let them lock China down and then leave us alone.
Leave us alone. Dr. Godwin,
let the doctor tell us more about this, because
yes, Dr. Godwin, why is there a surge on little kids mainly? That's what the news headline coming from China is saying this morning. Why do we have this situation, Dr. Godwin? Do you have?
Usually,
Mm.
Pandemics, epidemics happen because of adaptation of the virus to humans, the host, and also because of some environmental factors which can aid it. So if we're looking at things like cold, COVID, pneumonia, these things tend to be more rampant when the weather is cold, which affects our immune system and ability to fight off infections, especially viral infections. Now, with that being said, we also understand that one of the means of transmission is by contact, and children tend to play with themselves, touch themselves, contact themselves. So the chances of spreading viral infections are predominantly high. So even if a particular strain of an infection may not be so virulent, but because of the enhanced contact among kids, it increases its potential virulence factor.
But
So,
let me say something here. You were in that line. Remember when COVID came out? Everybody here will attest to that. The information was COVID doesn't come on little kids, and in fact, many little children were like exempted. Even though some of them took the shots. So, but why is it coming now? And China is saying hundreds of children are being affected, and I mean, how do we put this?
okay, no, it's not. No, no. Look. Every pathogen. Let me use the word pathogen, whether it's virus or bacteria. It needs some particular receptors. It needs some particular conditions for it to thrive. The physiology of a child and that of an adult is different. And if the physiological conditions favors a particular strain of infection, then obviously it will work. For example, what example do I use? I think a common example. Okay, let's use a hemoglobin, fetal hemoglobin. Children have a different type of hemoglobin that helps them to adapt into low oxygen environments. I mean, they just came out from the womb with low oxygen content. And so the tendency that if you keep a baby, I mean, so many times have you had a baby that survived being dumped in the ocean, or maybe I should watch my language, or kept in an oxygen deprived area, and we see a baby survive. Yeah, they tend to survive better in oxygen deprived environment. An adult facing that same situation would have collapsed a long time ago. So there are peculiarities in physiological buildup of kids and adults that may make a particular strain of an infection more adapted to that particular. So it's nothing strange. But I also talked about the transmission factors. Increased physical contact with kids will increase the potential spread of any infection, irrespective of its degree of virulence.
Irrespective of the degree of violence. Okay. Good one. Thank
Virulence, not violence.
Virulence. Okay. So yes, gentlemen, let's just go straight to it. We don't have much time. A lot is happening. Right, not too far from me here is a riot going on, even though it's been quelled. A riot in Dublin. So far, 3 children stabbed and about 5 adults also affected. Here's what we're following. He says there has been violence seen in Dublin since last night. There was knife attack at the city center, and a lot of people are injured. It's not really clear what caused the disturbance. We've not gotten the real situation, but it is involving clashes, and reports of vehicles were burnt, even though now they are cleaning up the city. The Irish police blames a group of hooligans, they call them, driven by some far-right ideology. And the president is putting the attack on a group with an agenda, with that hyphen. So this is what we are following now. It's okay. It's quelled now. Cleaning up is going on in Dublin, the city center. Officers are patrolling the city centers. Things are settling down. But the issue now is, gentlemen, lady, why do we have this these extreme right ideologies, this ideology that some people feel they are not treated well, and come up with attack on innocent people. You know what the information says is the person behind it. Some of the people behind it are Muslims, and from a certain part of the world. So why do we have this repeating every time? Mainly Europe and South America, North America, Canada, all these parts of the world. Sir George, let me start with you. What do you say about the riot in Dublin? And now we are hearing it's some lunatic, hooligan, far-right ideology people. And obviously...
Well, listen, what we believe is that humans will always be humans. We'll always have the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, we always have, you know, rulership from the top that might not affect the bottom well, or violence from the bottom in response or reaction to the top. So what we're seeing here is, you know, they blame it on foreigners. They blame it on the Muslims. They blame it on everybody else. The point is, humans are humans, whether we're in Africa or in Asia or in America or Europe, it doesn't matter. You know, you can push a dog to the wall so far and the dog will bite you back. But we don't know the particular reason why the knife attack took place. At least we thank God that it wasn't, you know, one of things that are happening in the United States where somebody will take AK-45 and kill 40 or 50 people. So this is just knife attack, and hopefully every single one of them will survive this. But these are the signs of the times. Right after the pandemic, we have seen a whole lot of this type of rioting came up because people are frustrated. The economy of each country is trying to revive and survive. People are suffering. People are on the edge. So that's what we're seeing, the sign of the times here. So hopefully they have already quelled the rioting and people can go back to their normal lives.
Yes, they have already quelled the rioting, but damages have been done. 34 people have been arrested so far, and shops have been damaged, cars have been put on fire. In fact, the double decker,
a few cars were burnt.
Yes, the bus, that UK Irish double decker bus were burnt. But cleanup is on the way. BD, how is Africa seeing this? That Europe too has mad people. Europe has you term them extremists or something. How are you copying this from your end, BD?
But you know, whenever the Muslims are involved in this kind of a thing, you will see their reaction first from the northern parts of Nigeria. They have this tendency of, you know, giving their voice or even supporting them, even when they don't even understand why they are rioting or why they are doing what they are doing. That's just the only thing I can tell you that is happening in Nigeria now. You understand? Like Sir George said, in every country, in every continent, you have different types of people. And we get to this level when there is break in communication, when the people and the government, you understand, are not in the same lane. And another thing that can bring this kind of thing is where there is injustice. You understand? So that's the only thing that can bring this kind of a thing. And not forgetting that these are brothers who we call Muslims have a way of taking rash decision in things. Do you understand? When most of their decisions come from the emotions, it doesn't actually come from the brain. That's just what I have to say about this, because they'll just feel it and they'll decide to do it their own way. Sorry to say this, most times you find out that they don't always tend to abide by the law of every country or every state. Check generally, most of the cases they've had, and it is not good. and it is actually in a failure in the part of states when there is no good communication.
Straight from the heart. Let me say that I have my family in Dublin, and I know the Irish people to be very welcoming. They are homely. They receive foreigners. In fact, half of Ukrainians that fled Ukraine as a result of Russia-Ukraine war are in Dublin, and they are well taken care of. They are put in beautiful settlement areas, well taken care of. So it's really surprising to find out that some people have this right wing idea and they feel they are still not.
It's not surprising. It's not surprising. There's nothing surprising about it. There's nothing surprising. All this is just like, you know, I just will listen to everyone, and I just sometimes I just don't want to appear like I'm not going along with the politically correct line. But there's too much hypocrisy around. Everybody knows why.
No, but you don't need to go along with people.
Yeah. You know, one thing is you have to be sensitive. For example, first of all, I condemn what happened in Dublin with the strictest possible terms, number one. Number two, my heart goes out to the victims and their families. With that being said, the reason for this is pretty clear. They have some people have conveniently ignored the whole background, and I'm not speaking about you, my fellow legend. I'm speaking about people who report this thing. They generally ignore the background of this incident. Not only was there people they call, whether they tag them far right, far left, we agree that they were mostly tagged as far right, but what were their main problem? They're anti-immigration. What brought the immigration? In Dublin, they have a population of 5.3 million. Over 100,000 people have come into Dublin since Russia and Ukraine conflict. And you cause a conflict in another person's country. They run away. Instead of creating conditions for them to stay in their country, to promote peace, to not supply weapons, to provide jobs, to build their country infrastructure, you fight, you sponsor them to fight against themselves. You create immigration rush. You say we are the receivers, our arms are open, we support you everlasting. And then these guys are saying, wait a minute, we don't like that 2% of our population has just increased. That's 2% increase in the space of 1 year, because the political elites have their own agenda, which is usually disconnected with the common people. The common people have their own agenda, which is clearly simple. We want increased wages. We want better standard of living. It's not too much to ask. You can always predict what they want. But what the elites want, you have to trace where the money is. You have to follow their money. You have to follow their allegiances. You have to follow who is paying who is sponsored. Sometimes you have to even go to their political donors to understand what their affiliation is. And that is why you have a lot of common people who will say, who are discontent. And of course, if they speak, they will be silenced because it's not the political line. Now, if we say it's because of Muslim, or how come Saudi Arabia has one of the lowest crime rates, lower than industrialized nation? Saudi Arabia,
because they are far left. They are far left, and they don't.
But I'm trying to be common denominator Islam. Yes.
These countries.
Yeah, but you see, you see, I'm the common denominator. I'm trying to find a common denominator, and that common denominator cannot be Islam, because if the common denominator was Islam, then Saudi Arabia will not have one of the lowest crime rates. So that common denominator cannot be Islam. So just rule it out.
The common denominator is Islam, whether we like it or not. The common denominator cannot. There is no questions about that. Let me tell you something here. Let me finish. Listen.
Let me finish. Then you will have a chance to speak.
Because if everything is coming from that angle, or 90% of all these problems are coming from that angle, then you have to ask yourself, what is it? Is it a decision?
Which angle? The angle is coming from is an angle.
Imputation of the
the angle is coming from. I have no reason to vow or support Islam. I'm not Islam. I have no relative as Islam. But when I see injustice, the common denominator there is unemployment. The common denominator is poverty. The common denominator is their voice being silenced. This is the common denominator, not Islam, because you contradict yourself when you say Islam is the common denominator, but then you have the same Islam, low crime rate, and then you think of another criteria. You say, oh, it's far right, far left, but you've added something. No, you've added something to the equation that does not make Islam the common denominator.
Generally, religion. There are
I disagree. I believe that if UAE has low crime rates, all countries where the citizens are living well and have something to do, their hands are busy with something, they have low crime rates. So it's a common denominator. There's no place.
Let's be factual.
No, this is you are being religious.
One of the major things that we are saying
and that is absolutely not acceptable.
That most of these things that are erupting and the problems that are erupting are coming from certain areas. We're not.
It's not acceptable. It's not. You actually, by making a false, by creating a false denominator, you are actually generalizing. You are creating a false denominator.
Thank you very much.
It's false.
I know.
Because I gave you two situations, not even two. Yes. I said Saudi Arabia, I said UAE, I gave you Dublin. Even their crime rate is even less than industrialized.
You just mentioned.
Yes.
In those areas where you just mentioned, what is the situation of the government? The control.
I mentioned the situation of the government. The situation of the government is that they have something to do. Their poverty, their GDP per capita is high. Their unemployment rate is low. They are content with their system of government.
They have a tight news on the people.
It's not you to say they have.
Allow them to go and see what is going to happen. Hold on.
Have you met a Saudi Arabia person who doesn't like his king? Have you met a Saudi Arabia person who wants a different system of government? They choose for themselves what they want. It is not for you to interfere. They like their system of government. Let them rule themselves. The most important thing is that they are obeying the law. They have low crime rate. They are not a migration risk. What else do you want? Let them rule themselves. It is not for you to decide if they are good or bad, if their system of government is good or bad.
I disagree with you. You said when you said they are not in the migration list, I totally disagree with you on that. What do you mean?
I'm saying people from, listen, you didn't hear me today, maybe. I said Saudi Arabia citizens, they have low crime rate. They are not migration risks like other countries that have. That's exactly what I'm saying. When you're doing well in your country cannot be a migration risk. You can't.
I very much understand.
If Nigeria was well, will Nigeria be jackparing? Is it not common sense? So the common denominator is unemployment, poverty, silencing people. That's it.
But another way around.
Hold on, Billy. I do agree with you, Dr. Ibe, partially in certain area. But what I'm saying is this, again and again and again, if every time there is an eruption internationally, worldwide today, we are where we are, we can't travel peacefully around the world. Where are the problems coming from? What are the reasons? Why is it coming from different areas? I don't condemn Islam. I love Islam, okay, as a religion. But you have some violent ones that think. They don't think like others think. And that's what I'm saying.
Those people are everywhere. There are Christians that are violent. Everyone can be violent. If you take their job, even if you put two people you call as sensible people, you put them in one room, you don't give them food, they will begin to eat themselves. They'll become cannibals. What are you speaking about? You seize their conditions for life. Human beings become animals. Even people you think are normal. So what are you speaking about?
Gentlemen,
once there's a threat to their survival, they become animals. It's something you can.
See, Dr. Ibe, Dr. Ibe, I totally agree with you. But what I'm saying, like I said it earlier, that there is a disconnection between the people and the government. That is what you're seeing in Irish today. What I'm saying is that can't they find a better way to, express their displeasure rather than going into the streets and destroying things?
One thing they have shown is that they are not mad. If they try one thing they have shown is that they are not mad. If they try A, it doesn't work. They try B, it doesn't work. They try C, it doesn't work. Naturally, if they have D, they will try it. And it's just logical.
Thank you, Dr. Ibe. Thank you, Dr. Ibe. Thank you, everybody. We'll go on a break now. But let's, for our viewers online, we're discussing Dublin, Ireland, and where we had a situation, a little girl, 5-year-old girl, was stabbed and some people were also stabbed. But now take note also that the discussion is this act was done by a particular person. Now, this stampede, these riots are now the reaction of the far right wingers of Ireland now reacting
in support.
Exactly,
to what
yeah.
this person has done. So let's
No, they had a riot before. They have been rioting before the incident and after the incident. Since the Russian incident, they've been rioting in one form or the other. There have been pockets of violence.
Yes,
until
it's heightened.
Pressure cooker erupts. And then we say, oh, what's going on? Why? Why? How come?
So gentlemen, let's go on a break. Thank you very much. One thing about the SSM News Echo is we speak from our hearts. We don't want to be politically correct. I mean, politically correctness have not helped a lot of situations. And I appreciate you guys when you come out from your heart. Our viewers are listening. In fact, we had a thumbs up when Dr. Ibe was talking and more thumbs up. So let's go on this short break, gentlemen. There are many things to still look into, and we'll be back. Viewers, you are tuned in to our News Echoes Friday, and today we go global. We look into world affairs, and obviously there are lots of things to look into. So see you in a few minutes, guys. Thank you.
A year ago, I wrote a book titled The Final Solution, and I was trying to say to the rest of a year ago, I wrote a book titled The Final Solution, and I was trying to say to the rest of the world that there are challenges ahead. Now, a prophecy did come, and that prophecy is coming to pass. But I'm telling you, the final solution has been found many years ago in the Bible, because the Bible simply says righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach to the people. So I want you to know that you can get solutions to problems in Ukraine, in Russia, in Nigeria, indeed all parts of the world. We need that solution, and the solution is straightforward. Please get a copy of my book. It's the Final Solution by Bishop Shegun Johnson, and you can find it in Kindle, in Amazon. Just type Bishop Shegun Johnson, The Final Solution. It will come. It's very, very small book you can read within 2 hours, but it contains the final solution. Do get a copy. Not getting it is doing.
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
Yes, you are back. You are welcome back to News Echoes World Affairs, Friday, 24th November. Gentlemen, I hope you're all still with me. Sir George from Toronto, Canada. PD from Lagos, Nigeria. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Is Israel Hamas is having a ceasefire this morning, and the ceasefire is working. Let's hear what you guys have. Ceasefire, Israel Hamas ceasefire. It lasts for 4 days, starting from today, and families have been held by Hamas have been released, and those that are also being detained by Israel are being released. What do you have on that?
What are you asking?
Tajud, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Well, I think it's a good shift to a good cause to have the 4 days rest. I'll call it sabbatical from the war. But we're looking at 50 people being released in 4 days, and then 150 on the other side. But my hope is that within that 4 days, rather than going back to war, they can find a way to, reach a common level of understanding that will be profitable to both sides and bring peace, because there's been a lot of killings and a lot of slaughtering, and innocent civilians and old people and young people are dying. So that's my hope. And I think this is a good one. And recently, even last minute before the introduction of the peace treaty, or temporary peace treaty, as I may call it, they reported that they killed one of the naval officers with Hamas. So whether this is going to still allow this to continue, the 4 days peace treaty to continue, is another question. So anyway, I'm hoping that there will be a permanent solution to both sides so that they can rest from this war and coexist together, because it's just too much.
It's just too much. So far, 13 civilians have been released by Hamas, but it's not. It doesn't end the war. Israel said they are going to do this till they are giving a time frame of 4 months. 4 months, George. So and bombardment will continue, like they said.
Was it not 2 months? Was it not 2 months? They said 2 more months.
They said 2 more months.
Okay, some news house was reporting from. Okay, so anyway, it doesn't end the war. It's just a truce.
I know it doesn't, but I'm hoping that it will, though. That's my hope.
And to crop it up, to start up this ceasefire, like you just said, Hamas naval commander was killed yesterday, and some intense fighting also held on. You said, BD, how is Africa seeing this? At least we have some rest. You're not hearing the boom, boom, boom over your head. Those of you that are close to Egypt and some of those border countries. BD, what will you say?
It is a really commendable effort. So what we are saying now, that they leverage on this agreement and make an everlasting peace, because it will be really, really looking at very, very animalistic that after 2 months or 3 months, you will resume to bombing, killing each other again. I know, like everybody will say that this war has been an everlasting, lifetime thing. It didn't start today. Like I said earlier in one of our discourse, that it has been a phase thing. Now, if they have gotten to this stage that they haven't to agree for this peace, exchanging of a kidnapper, hostage, all those things, do you understand, for a very long time, can they leverage on this opportunity, this opening, and negotiate for everlasting? And it's possible if the people involved, the stakeholders, agree to be truthful to themselves. I think they will achieve this. But the problem here is this: like Dr. Ibe will always say, what is their interest? Do you understand? Most of them might not be truthful to this, because if they are truthful to it, because if their interest is not well presented, they will not be truthful. But if they are truthful to it, this is a very good opening for them to negotiate for everlasting peace.
Thank you very much. Otoibe, one of the major annoyance of Israel is that hospital. We all saw the hospital, the Al-Shafa hospital. The allegation is that it has been serving as a Hamas command center, but they portray it to the world as a hospital and make things look as if it's a medical center. But behind, we saw the long hole of stretch of tunnel. Behind were gadgets and monitoring surveillance things and all that. So do you think Israel is justified to be doing this? And the Al-Shafa hospital, do you think it's true or it's just an allegation?
Yeah, you know, when the way you say it, yeah, the way you said it, I know there was no such intention, but what you actually do is like you are repeating talking points of one side, which is the Israeli side. You have to listen to both sides sometimes to have to understand. This hospital, why am I saying this hospital we're talking about was built by Israel, not Hamas. Was built by Israel, and it was actually used as a command center of Israel until Israel handed over Gaza. So we understand that. So there was a beginning to the story. Let's not start from the middle. So that's the basis on which they are setting that Hamas could potentially use it as a commander. And of course, it's plausible. I'm not ruling that out. But I'm saying there was a beginning to the story. I commend the ceasefire. I would like to call that one of the main backers of this ceasefire, which they have not been given enough credit, is the BRICS nation. The BRICS nation came out really forcefully to demand this ceasefire, especially even South Africa.
Or Saudi? Saudi said they were the ones.
No, it was BRICS nation, especially South Africa was very loud voice, because one of the main comparisons that have been done with this Gaza conflict is the apartheid in South Africa, and a lot of people use it as
because
a
Qatar
comparison.
And America say they did more of the facilitating.
Qatar is the main negotiator, no doubt. Qatar is the main person. Nothing can go without Qatar. Qatar is the main person, whether it's financial, what do you call it, sponsorship or political dialogue. You must go through Qatar, no other option. But what I'm talking about, because that's where their leaders reside, and that's the political posture of Qatar. But I'm speaking about the international backing which it has. I hope you also understand that the people that have been held hostage, for example, Russians have been released, many BRICS nations have been released, yes. We have mostly non-BRICS nations that are held as hostages right now. So that's the power of diplomacy. Yeah, the power of diplomacy. Especially China, India, South Africa came out really strongly demanding for it, and I really welcome it because it's a chance to stop the bloodshed. Now, with that being said, we have to understand that Hamas is an ideology. You can only, and the thing that can fail this ideology is continued injustice. So someone rejoicing over killing a naval commander, it looks very childish to me, because what is the capital, the human capital cost of this person? This person maybe did not finish university. This person maybe didn't finish, maybe he didn't go to pilot school that Americans have spent, or Israelis have spent thousands of dollars in educating their people, their top soldiers. Do you know the amount of money that is to bring up an average Israeli soldier? You know the amount of money that's, I mean, human life is equal, but I'm saying the capital costs that have been spent. It's you eliminated the human, which is very sad, but you've not eliminated the ideology, and that ideology is predicated on the occupation, on the lack of creation of the two-state solution, or the state of Palestine, which the BRICS nations called for, and the United Nations is united on that stance. Most of the world is united on the idea of the two-state solution. Now, I'm hopeful, but I am pessimistic about the chances of peace after these 2 months, because for there to be peace, there has to be a price that is worth it. The price that is worth it, for example, when 10,000 of Palestinians are dead, so if 10,000 people are dead from 2 million, we can assume that everybody has a relative who has been killed. Every Palestinian has a relative that has been killed. Now you tell them, okay, 2 months is over, now come and live peacefully, now love Israel. You know, you wonder if you're an imbecile. You actually wonder if you're an imbecile. The price has to be what, if, for example, you gave them a state of Palestine, for example, they will say, okay, we have warriors who gave their lives for a particular cause, and this is the result. So it has to be worth it. Otherwise, you haven't killed the ideology. There's still a pressure boiler there.
Wow.
Okay. Number one is I don't think there's a rejoicing. It was just a report that a naval officer that has been fueling and helping, you know, from the sea to attack them has been killed. I don't think they're rejoicing over that. It's just a report. That's
but also in war situation, every damage is counted.
Yeah, exactly. It's political. We know that. We know that. It's propaganda.
Gentlemen, want to go into business, some small business discussion. But before that, let's just say this, and maybe if you have anything to say, you can come up with it too. Right behind me here, not too far from me, the far right populist Geert Wilder wins Dutch election, and I think now he's setting a coalition government. Now the man used a very interesting.
Who exactly?
In Dutch here.
Wilder.
It's called.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Wilder.
He's the Dutch Trump.
Yes.
Okay.
He used a new gimmick most Europeans are using, and that is capitalizing on this widespread frustration on migration, mainly border closures, and all this, also on religion, you know, Islam and all that. So he used that to get his people. And what we are studied from our corner here is this is what a lot of European prime ministers are doing now. They come with that narrative. I'm going to stop migration. I'm going to block the border, close the border.
Like Italy, right?
Yes, that's what our Prime Minister Giorgio Meloni did. And somehow they will now come down.
Once they enter, the money starts coming in, everything.
So now this is what we are seeing in Netherlands, and it's people say the man is using the Trump style. You know, they are likening him to Donald Trump. You know, bringing sentiment into politics and bringing some of these talk that they know some people are really angry over. So that's what is happening. So by today, he will be forming his coalition government, and maybe by Monday or so, we'll know who will be working with him, and we'll begin to monitor his government and see how he will progress on this line he's taking. Do anybody have anything to say on this?
Of course, I do. You know, let me talk about Meloni. I remember when Meloni's voice started to change was when Ursula von der Leyen flew in to see her. They had a talk. Yeah, you remember? Yeah.
He called her in. Yes. You know the secret is EU gave Italy a bailout.
Oh my God! I was like,
so you don't come and begin to talk anyhow.
Is it the same person? So Ursula flew there. After that, the transfiguration.
Yeah.
So you use,
but Godwin,
you use the common.
Yes,
let me just finish.
I think it's interest.
Yes. So we are talking about this. And I've been saying it from the beginning when I entered this program. Interests of political elites always differ from interests of common man. What do poor people know? They think about food and that and survival. Elites are not after food and this, that, after all that things. So they differ. So you use the interest of the common man to get the votes, and then when you enter, you now think about retirement, which is very horrible. And then we get to think about, well, I'll be out of here in a while. I won't be here forever. So maybe it's time to think about retirement. Or even if I wasn't thinking about retirement, sanctions is a powerful tool. You know, sanctions. Maybe I have a house in Miami. Maybe I would like to do trading USD. So I should, control myself. I should shut up or be sanctioned. So this is the main thing that makes them change. And of course, we understand that it's a game, but it only highlights that most of the problem we have in the world is a disconnect between the interests of political elites and interests of the common man. Full stop.
But you know, the interest of the common man is their daily bread. But the political elite, most of the time, these are the people that want to study the future and see where they are heading, because most civilized countries, they plan 50, 100 years ahead. But the man wants to survive now on bread on my table. You're talking about tomorrow. Let me survive today. So that's really one of those major things. But what we are seeing today is the world is being divided, especially in the civilized countries. And because of the financial problem that is happening in some of these third world countries, you see an influx of people moving out of these countries and going into these civilized countries, and then it's causing a lot of problems. Like locally right now in Canada, we're having some issues with immigration. Many of them, they obtain visa, student visa, and they obtain visiting visa. But when they came over, they raised up their hands. So because of that, the states and the regions are not actually prepared for that, because they didn't plan for it. So you see like 50,000 people rushing into a country. And it happened prior to the pandemic with Nigerians when they crossed from the US and came here. So they had to empty several community centers and emptied a lot of hotels to house these people. And that is what's happening now again. One of these immigrants that was sleeping outside died a few days ago because there's no space. And I believe he must have been in Nigeria, one of them that died. So these are one of the domino effects of this political nonsense that is going on around some of these other countries, rich countries that are so rich in minerals and in all kinds of things, but yet only a handful of people hijack the money and then leave the West and use the weapon of poverty, to put themselves in there and remain there. So that's one of my major issues. Now, I do understand that, the common man wants to survive. If you come to Canada today, their interest is to lower inflation, but people are losing their houses, losing their businesses as a result. So the common man wants, let me have my daily bread and let me survive today. But the government or the elite are looking at another direction. So I do agree with you.
It shows one thing, that the elites, the leaders, the politicians, they are more futuristic, but the common men are just concentrating on now, the survivor.
Oh,
that's
it's
just,
easy
that's
to.
just what.
No.
That's
Actually, the thing you're talking about, whose future?
Let's go into. There's something.
They are more interested in. They are more interested in influence.
Yes,
the
influence,
politicians,
exactly.
They just want to grab that influence. So even when they are not in the office, they can make things happen. That's just their focus. They don't care about the common men.
Let me just add something very quickly. There's the basic thing we all know, common Maslow's law of hierarchy, needs hierarchy. Yes, when you make your physiological needs, there are other stages of needs. Don't be deceived into thinking that political elites think about the future. They think about their future. You may not be included in it. For example, if their assets, exactly, don't ever be deceived. For example, if their assets are in China, they will be pro-China, even if the whole country has to suffer. They will be pro-China. Or if they have to even be pro-Russia, they will be pro-Russia, even if everyone has to suffer.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're not included in that future.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one to say, Dr. Ibe. But one man that wasn't bothered about it, thinking of his own future in that sense, was George Weah. We didn't talk about this. I know it's gone almost a week now, but George Weah considered defeat and allowed his opponent to become the president. I think that's something remarkable coming from Africa. Gentlemen, don't you think so? Liberian president, former President George Weah, has been hailed all over the world for his sportsmanship, for conceding to his rival in the presidential race, and it's something.
That's not the first time such thing is coming from Africa.
Yeah, we know Jonathan.
Our president, past president, yes. Good luck about Jonathan.
Well, you see, like what Dr.
Even when he knew that he didn't lose that election, but just for the life of an average Nigerian, he conceded defeat.
Who did? Who did?
We still have
Who
good people in Africa.
Who did? Who did?
Your man, your
Jonathan conceded for personal reasons. I told you these people before. He was approached. He was given conditions which was favorable to him. At the stage where he was, he could not continue. He was afraid of his life. So the least part of resistance was to give up the election after he was approached. It wasn't his personal decision. He was influenced to do that. Judge Wade, I am clapping for him. If he's stepping out, he's a younger man. Maybe he can give room for this man to bring his wisdom to help Liberia, and he still got many years ahead of him. So I'm clapping for him. But let's not just come out and start saying there is a reason why some of these people, I am agreeing with Dr. Ibe in a lot of these ideological things, internal subjective things that are happening. Because they don't come out, to tell you the reason why they do what they did. They give you political reasons, but actually their personal interest was at stake. That's exactly what he's saying. And let me tell you, I believe that that is the case in a lot of things, because what you hear on the news and the decision that comes out versus what is being discussed, or actually the foundation of those decisions that are being made, are not being exposed to the people.
Okay. Gentlemen, before we go, there are other issues we would have
agreed, of course.
Time is gone. There's something that is happening now in America mainly, and that is women coming out to say they've been sexually assaulted. Now, 3 major names are on the phone. Actor Jimmy Foxx has been indicted. Sean Diddy Combs, Pop Daddy, you call him. He had one, and yesterday another person has come with a second lawsuit accusing him of drugging and sexually assaulting the woman. And also New York City Mayor Eric Adams is going through the same thing. Eric own is serious, but Eric's accuser has just today to finalize things, or the case will be closed. Now, what we want to say is, why are these women coming at this point in time? Why didn't they say this then when it happened? These are things that happened 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Why are they bringing it up now to drag these men down? Jimmy Foxx is just going through some health issues, and now he has to go through sexual assault case. Gentlemen, we have just 2 minutes. Do anybody have anything to say on this to wrap it up?
Yes, obviously. In every action, you have to always look at the motive and the opportunities. What are the opportunities, and what are the motives? Was there a means to do that? And when you find out that most of all these accusations affects rich men, not poor men. You don't see a lot of poor men with high profile cases. When there's nothing at stake, then you don't find all this. So you begin to wonder if it's only rich people that are rapists. You begin to wonder if it's only rich people that practice domestic violence and all these kind of things. Obviously, when the law allows a particular group of people to misuse it, then obviously they misuse it. We also wonder why, for example, we talk about gender gap in Russia and US, quite similar gender gap in terms of women. A woman has been the emperor of Russia before. There's no feminism widespread in Russia, but you don't see a lot of all these cases and all of that. So when the law allows it, yeah, of course, sorry. But it may be true. I mean, we have to look into the case, but the fact that it's coming now is raise a lot of questions. Of course, a lot of people will say, "Oh, women." I don't want to get into that, but let's just try and be honest, at least on this.
But the truth of the matter is, if somebody is found that they actually was doing this for just for money's sake, I think the law should allow a place where they can charge that individual for wasting the court's money, the people's tax money, just to pursue a favorite case, because that is the reason why most of them, whether they're going to get money or not, they're going to write a book after. So, they're going to get popular after the whole entire thing. One way or the other, they're going to make money. So that's the reason why you see a lot of them rising up. And maybe they have been close to these people for one reason or another. They feel like the people are not honoring them or giving them enough benefits. Therefore, they're going to find a way to get it back. And some of them might be true, like I said, but I don't think they're all
most times these cases are truth. But my question is this, and they are aware of them. But why keep it so long? Then at a particular time, we now come up with it. Most times they are truth. They know about it, but they wouldn't want to talk about it. But at a point, they will not decide to bring it up. That's my question. Why is
the problem with all of this? Let me tell you something. The problem with all of this is this. One major thing is that women have been weaponized in North America against men. A woman gets upset at you for one reason or the other and accuse you. Now you got to go through that process to save yourself. And most of the time, if you don't have money, you going down. That's the problem.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. You all know that time is always dealing with us here. So much to say, but the few we've said, it's all wonderful. And viewers, we are online. Thank you so much for coming, viewers. This has been News Echoes World Affairs, Friday, 24th of November. We've looked into so many things. We want to see you on Wednesday when more occurrences around the world will be taking place. And we will be bringing it to you, analyzing it, giving you from a non-political correctness point of view. My man, Dr. Ibe from Russia, Sir George from Toronto, Canada, and BD Nana from Lagos. Till we come your way again, let's have a beautiful weekend. Bye-bye, gentlemen. Bye-bye. Thank you.